It's my dream. I want to fight for the second belt. I want to feel that energy again. Because when you defend your belt, it's not same. I need new one.
I gotta be honest with you. I'm pretty annoyed with the state of MMA, UFC champions defending their belt once or twice and then saying, "Hey, I'm gonna go up for double champ status." It's so tiring to see. Why don't you just stay in your division, clear your division out, and then let's talk about challenging for double champ status? But this it's the same way that you had to earn your way to become champion and fight for the championship in your weight class. You have to earn your way and fight for your way to become double champ status. So this leads me to Islam Makhachev and what's next for him. Islam, let me be first and foremost clear. Nobody is clamoring. Nobody is saying, yes, we need Islam Makhachev to become double champ in the UFC. Nobody's clamoring from that. If we want to break it down, let's break it down. Islam, you've won the championship against Charles Oliveira. Since then, you defended the belt against Alexander Volkanovski twice. You're supposed to fight Charles. Charles pulled out with an injury. You fought Alexander Volkanovski twice. Alexander Volkanovski is the featherweight champion in a lower weight class. The first time you fought him, you almost lost. The second time you fought him, you beat him on days' notice, and you won. You knocked him out. The next time you defend your belt was against Dustin Poirier, who almost gave you a run for your money, had you all cut up and everything like that. Albeit, Islam Makhachev is a tremendous fighter. I think that he's shown holes in his game. And I think that the lack of wins against true lightweights in his division for the belt is concerning. That should put the UFC brass at a halt for even thinking about booking a guy like Islam Makhachev for, a welterweight championship fight against Leon Edwards. What have you done to deserve it? You beat the featherweight champion twice. I get it. It's Alexander Volkanovski. You've only beaten one true lightweight since you've been lightweight champion. There's a whole division that you have to worry about. Mateusz Gamrot, Arman Tsarukyan, right? What about those guys? And then that brings to a bigger discussion is how unfair is it to those guys? Islam fights a couple times a year. You already know one of the fights are going to be in Abu Dhabi. Like, what are we talking about? What has Islam Makhachev done to deserve the welterweight discussion besides saying, I need this, and I want to fight for, the welterweight champion? Stay in your division. Clear your division out. Beat like the top 5 guys in your division. Then let's discuss that. You see, the lightweight division is starting to get a little bit of a new breed in as well. The long lifers, if you will, the Justin Gaethjes of the world, the Dustin Poiriers of the world are starting to clear themselves out. I believe a guy like Benoit Saint Denis is going to build himself back up, right? And he's going to be a challenger in this division as well. You obviously always still have Charles, but I'm convinced at this point Charles doesn't want to fight Islam Makhachev. But you still have guys in the lightweight division that are capable of challenging for Islam Makhachev's lightweight championship before we even start the discussion at welterweight. And furthermore, there are guys at welterweight. Welterweight is one of the most stacked divisions. Guys like Bilal Muhammad has been literally screaming for that fight against Leon. Let's give it to him. Let's make him happy. And then you have a bunch of other guys right behind that. Guys like Shavkat Rakhmonov. It's always interesting to see what Khamzat Chimaev does. If he's going to stay at middleweight or he's going to fight at welterweight. Ian Gary's an up-and-comer. There's so many potential fights that make sense for true welterweights. And the thing that's probably most annoying for me is I really believe in my heart Islam Makhachev has no desire to even defend the welterweight belt. I believe if he were to go up there and fight for the welterweight championship, number one, I think he wants to fight Leon because he sparred Leon before and he had a lot of success against him in the wrestling when Leon was first trying to get his wrestling going at AKA. And I think he sees that as a matchup where he thinks he could win. I think if it was of anyone else, I don't know if he would be as interested in moving up. Like if it was a Kamaru Usman who was still champion, I don't know if he'd be that interested in moving up to welterweight to capture a second belt. But I think the next part that kind of annoys me about this is I think Islam Makhachev, let's say if he were to go up and beat Leon Edwards, I think he'd retire. I don't think he'd defend the lightweight belt again. I don't think he'd defend the welterweight championship again. Therefore, you're leaving two weight classes vacant with no champion. So again, we got to be smart about that. While it's good to see new champions crowned, it creates a cluster F, if you know what I mean. It really does. It's not necessary. No one is beating down the door saying Islam Makhachev needs to get a double champ status. I don't even think he's that big of a draw to get a double champ status to where people would care one way or another. I think there's too many compelling fights that people care about in both respective divisions. So those are my thoughts. Islam Makhachev, defend your belt at lightweight champion as the lightweight champion. Prove that you can knock off some of these quote unquote up and coming guys like Arman Tsarukyan, who you say the fight doesn't make sense. I don't understand how you say that. You guys fought years and years ago when Arman came in on short notice and made his UFC debut against you and gave you a run for your money. I don't know. Fight some of the guys in your division before we start talking about this double champ status. As much as entertaining as it is for the sport, in instances like this is not good for the sport. Just my thoughts.